spoilers for the identity of all heroes in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, including the two post-game heroes and their class inheritors. On top of that, story spoilers up until the end of Chapter 6. I was gonna put a brief blurb on the class inheritor system here, but I realized with the spoiler warning I filtered this video's audience down to only people who know what the class inheriting system is. In case you've forgotten who inherits from who, then I'll quickly put a graph up on screen that delineates such. With that being said, let's get musing. Whoa, would you look at that? It's the Noah intro! Some general things about the classes that Noah inherits. Noah is the only core party member that doesn't inherit 3 classes. As of release, that is. I don't see Ino and the other DLC heroes figuring out some new mechanic. Just so Noah can remain a special boy. Also put a pin in this, it'll be important later. It's annoying that all the others have to have the same number whilst Noah sticks out. But it makes sense that Noah is the one that stands out on account of being the protagonist and all. Noah inherits 3 attacker classes, 1 defender class, 3 Conventi classes, and 1 Aghanim class. There's one thing I could make commentary on, but I think it's best if I save that little thing for a different character's overview. Put a pin in it is what I'm saying. Noah inheriting Flesh Fencer makes sense. Sure, there's not much in-universe explanation for it, but we would all know something would be off if somebody else inherited our class. Guardian Commander, on the other hand, makes less sense. Genuinely, the only reasons I can think of for Noah inheriting it are he's the protagonist, laughing out loud, and the parallel with Mio inheriting Teach's class. If it's just a parallel that, then I can get behind it. But I do believe the parallel could just as easily be achieved with Union Time. I'll cover this in more detail when I get to Mio. But if we're just talking about the Kavesi side of this, Xian is going to uni because Burb. Now, we're gonna have Noah also take one of the classes that Uni inherits to keep his special boy status. Personally, I think it should be Monica, since I never really got why Uni inherited from her in the first place. Juniper has no real thematic connections to Noah, and that's okay. Juniper is the first of many heroes where their class inheritor essentially comes down to being the, for lack of a better term, protagonist of the hero quest. Unfortunately, this means there's not much to comment on when it comes to Noah inheriting from them. Let's be honest, the only reason Noah inherits Royal Summoner is because he's the protagonist on the Kavesi side, and that's okay. No, it can't be. The Mio introduction! Mio inherits 3 Agnian classes and 0 Kavesi classes. Why? Because he's a racist, obviously. Another kind of class that Mio solely inherits? Healer. Why? I'm just gonna up and say that it's coincidence this time. After all, classism refers to wealth, not the RPGs. You remember that pin I put in Teach? Now let's cover it. Now, why do I think Teach could be suited for Tyon? If you were to just unlock Strategos and Incursor, then you'd notice a theme with the classes that Tyon inherits. It's that they all come from big brain Aghanim commanders. And what do you know? There's a guy literally called Teach who just so happens to follow this pattern. But the last class that Tyon inherits is Seraph, not Thaumaturge. Right, these can be unlocked before a third. I refuse to pronounce it as Izzard, and way before you can unlock it Alexandria. And Kamaravi is presumably smart due to his reputation. As for giving his class over to Mio, however, 1. I got nothing. And 2. In Chapter 4, I'm fairly certain Mio brings up his backstory before Ngado Pass, which is the closest thing to an interaction that a party member has with Kamaravi before Ngado Pass. The rest of the classes that Mio inherits, I'm completely fine with. In fact, I'd go as far to say that they are the most sense-making inheritances in the entire game. Miyabi, while they're both Agni and Offseers, Miyabi's a major backstory character for Mio and Mio alone. Hell, Mio even has her flute for half the game. And most importantly, their names both start with me. Nia? Well, Mio is literally Nia's daughter, so I think it's safe to give this one the free hat stamp of approval. Oh no, not the only introduction! Uni inherits 2 Kavesi classes and 1 Agnian class. On top of that, she inherits 1 attacker class and 2 defender classes. At first it may seem weird that Uni doesn't inherit any healer classes, but I think it's implied that Uni only picked up healing to fill in a gap with Team Noah's in-universe party comp left when Yoran died. Before that, she has a gun like Wombas, which makes it a bit weird that the majority of the classes that she inherits are defender classes. Also, she inherits from the only class to have a non-talent launch arc and the only class to have a non-talent smash arc. And these 2 classes have different recharge styles, so they're practically begging you to combine them in one master arc. I have almost aggressively no commentary for the classes that Uni inherits. Rare and Extra both fit pretty neatly into the Hero Quest protagonist scenario, and inheriting from Monica is stupid.
I shall succumb to the Zion introduction.
One inherits 0 Kavesi classes and 3 Agnian classes. Really? We're getting another racist party member so soon? Kyan also inherits 2 attacker classes and 1 healer class. It's said it's obvious, I don't even need to explain this one. He's more of a shoo-in than Miyabi was. As for Alexandria, well, it all comes back to the big brain Agnian commanders, does it not? These segments get kinda boring when I'm not making changes. Intro, it's Lansda! Lance inherits 2 Kavesi classes, 1 Agnian class, 2 healer classes, and 1 soul hacker. This technically means that both the characters whose base class is defender only inherit healer classes. I don't have much commentary on Valdi other than the fact that he's short as Val, but here's the thing. You unlock him as the second hero, and the one who you are forced to get as your first hero is Ethel, whose class is inherited by Noah. Which made me think that at least the Kavesi's heroes, classes, inheritors, Fiona is the first hero in a long time. Why just get to simply say, why? Like, what reason did they have to give Signifer to land? I just don't get it. Especially when Senna is right there. I think the best way to illustrate my point is to highlight the fact that, outside of Mio, the only other person that Senna uses nicknames for is Fiona. I have no problems with trying. それは Senna の紹介です。Senna inherits 1 Agnian class and 2 Kavesi classes. This makes her the only party member where a majority of the classes that she inherits have a different recharge style than her base class. Another interesting thing is that all of the classes she inherits comes from heroes that don't fit the Kevis Agnes binary. Riku and Manana are both, Gondor is from the city, and Sagiri is complicated. Then I inherit 3 attacker classes. This is the thing that I pinned during Noah's segment, and it's that attackers seem to attract attackers. Also, of the 6 heroes that the game forces you to get or unlock via story progress, Senna inherits 2. Noah also does this, but you have no good reason to use Stalker, so it kind of balances it out. Riku and Manana are another case of the whole why thing. And what do you know, there just so happens to be another instance of why that I want to move over to Senna. Plus, I just think it'd be funny if a majority of the heroes that Lance inherits from were mechanics, and I don't know why. Gondor is good, and I'm not going to say anything else about Gondor. I know this fandom's consensus on her. Sagiri is perhaps the most blatant case of Hero Quest protagonist syndrome I've ever seen. Leaving Trays. Shoot, did I still leave that pin in Eno? I did. Now, alongside Eno, not only is there that mystery DLC hero, but there are also 3 scrapped heroes still in the game's code. Wamba, Nimue, and Yorin. I don't think they're that likely to end up as post-launch heroes. But if you add them to the 2 DLC heroes, then you would be able to procure 4 classes for each main party member. Nimue would be yet another easy shoo-in for Tyon. As for one that's shoo-in just not as easy, Yorin for land. And now for the hardest showing yet! Sharpshooter for Uni! Oh, I'm actually gonna have to explain this one, since Mama isn't the centerpiece of Uni's arc or anything. Uni just so happens to be the only Tavesi party member that neither I nor Monolith Soft have assigned a fourth inherited class to yet. Now, you may have noticed that this only leaves Eno and the mystery DLC hero. This is because I don't know where to put him. Personally, I see Eno going to Senna, but that's mostly because I don't know where else to put her. It just doesn't seem like Eno would end up going to Mio. I guess that means that the little mystery hero guy will end up going to Mio. There's that. I look forward to getting disproven in 3 hours. And even leaving a cat